6 years of playing IDV have given me way too many experiences with all kinds of players, and the characters they choose to play. If I were to be honest, well, some of them have given me a headache more than needing to play Resident Evil 6 but no PS5.
Excuse me.
Though when I really think about it, there was always some kind of fun in every single match, including the chaotic ones. Well, especially the chaotic ones, to be precise. I have come to a very important realization after all this long journey that every character in IDV comes with a stereotype attached to them, especially the Survivors faction. And since I am a Survivor main, I have seen it all up close and personal. Today, we are diving into those stereotypes. Quick disclaimer though, this is purely based on my personal perspective, so please don't treat this as a scientific study. This is not a character assassination, and this is definitely not a legal document. Do not take it as the ultimate truth about every Survivor player out there. But tell me you have never thought the same thing at least once. Anyway, this is all just for fun, so let's get into it. Lucky Guy mains love treasure boxes so much that the average Lucky Guy will open a chest before even thinking about rescuing their teammates. His entire skill set depends on whatever the treasure box decides to give him. If he wants to rescue but pulls out a syringe instead of a flare gun, he will suddenly remember that decoding is also a very important responsibility. Why risk his life when the box clearly said no? If you are not included here, then congratulations. You are that rare above average Lucky Guy we are all secretly hoping for in rank. In the hands of a pro, Doctor is basically a zombie. She gets hit, she heals, then gets hit again and heals again. It goes on long enough that some weak-willed hunters might start switching sides to be a Survivor main. Sadly, most doctors I meet tend to believe that healing during a kite is an easy task, while actually, it is not. Most of them fail while trying that zombie trick. They also often think they are the Ultraman of every match, rushing in to rescue every time as if they are invincible, and ended up in terror shock. If you play Gardener, chances are you either want her shielding ability or you genuinely are not sure who else to pick. A pro Gardener usually trade her toolkit for something better, and save her shield for a crucial rescue. Calm and calculated. A clueless Gardener, on the other hand, tries to destroy every chair she sees, as if that alone will win the match. And when they run into Galatea, the panic is almost immediate. The anti-terror shock guy. Anyone who plays him has probably been terror shocked one too many times and decided they deserve peace. Most lawyer users I meet are actually pretty solid and can cipher rush quickly. For a decoder, they are surprisingly decent at kiting and even rescuing. The only issue is that they can be a little lazy when it comes to rescuing. Can't blame them though. Lawyer is a decoder at heart. Thief loves his flashlight, and often uses it to distract and harass the hunter. All that walking backwards has trained them well, so they know exactly where every wall and obstacle is on the map. Decoding is rarely their priority. Thief mains are usually too busy kiting or harassing the hunter. Some of them cannot resist emoting or taunting during a kite. It looks cool for about 3 seconds, then it usually ends badly. Magician is built for mind games, and I have seen many of them succeed at it beautifully. A good magician can make a hunter question their eyesight. The problem starts when it is time to rescue. Sometimes, the one who is supposed to outplay ends up getting outplayed instead. They try to mind game the hunter and somehow get mind gamed back, which leads to them needing a rescue instead of being the rescuer. Such irony! Explorer loves hiding. Some Explorer mains hide so much that they are practically invisible the entire match. Newbie Explorers believe that digging treasure pages automatically makes them a decoding machine. In reality, they often decode slower than everyone else because they spend half the match concealed and jogging across the map. Pro Explorers only hide when necessary, and actually manage their time well. Their kiting is usually decent too. And then there are the rare ones who somehow use Explorer as a rescuer. Those ones are built different. There are 2 types of mercenary. The first one rescues and body blocks like a professional, and uses his elbow pads wisely to escape or secure a clean rescue. He goes down protecting his teammates and is generally a nightmare to chase. The second type is the mercenary that makes you drink aspirin, the one who forgets to deactivate the elbow pad and slams into a wall during rescue. It is rare, but when it happens, it hurts. Usually, This mercenary used all their elbow pads to escape Jack. I would not say Martha is bad, but sometimes you cannot help wishing she had 3 bullets instead of 1. She is a jack of all trades. Technically a rescuer, but not fully built for it. Not exactly a kiter either, yet some players use her that way anyway. Her flare gun requires perfect timing for a clean rescue, and if the hunter brings excitement, you start wondering whether she should have brought a machine gun instead. Mechanic mains can be surprisingly fiery in post-match chat, but they have their own reasons. Her decoding speed drops significantly when teammates are down, so if the rest of the team plays terribly, she feels it the most. When that happens, some mechanics unleash their frustration afterward. Not all of them, of course, but I have met this type more often than not. In terms of gameplay though, they are usually pretty solid. Forward is a friendly pick for beginners. Need to run away from the hunter? Just use his skill, no problem. Need to move across the map quickly? Same mechanism, no problem. The real issue appears during balloon rescues. The moment someone gets picked up, some forwards go full hero mode and charge in for the stun. The problem is that not all of them can aim. Instead of hitting the hunter, they hit a wall and gift the hunter a free down. I give them credit for their confidence though. Mind's Eye is often the scapegoat of the team because of her slow vaulting speed and high-risk gameplay. Hunters see her in the match and immediately decide she is the main course. Most of the time, she gets chased first and eliminated quickly. But a seasoned Mind's Eye is a different story. Instead of being hunted, she ends up cooking the entire match with a 5 cipher kite. When that happens, the hunter becomes the one regretting their life. Top banned in almost every tier, Priestess is extremely annoying to deal with. Her long portal alone can ruin a hunter's day. In the hands of a pro, it can make a hunter surrender in under 5 minutes. From my experience, many pro priestesses stick to their default skins. Meanwhile, some of the flashier ones seem to sacrifice themselves suspiciously fast. Was that a coincidence? Ah, Perfumer. Many believe that using the triple perfume reset makes them look impressive. What some do not realize is that certain hunters happily let that happen just to farm presence faster. Once they get what they need, they switch targets and start eliminating the easier survivors one by one. And when it is time for Perfumer to rescue, some of them suddenly forget how to function without their perfume and end up being cannon fodder. The so-called wannabe rescuer, who actually succeeds most of the time, assuming the ping is kind. Cowboy mains are usually the first to attempt a rescue the moment a teammate goes down. His lasso is perfect for harassing hunters and preventing pickups. Pair that with decent kiting skills, and the match can go very smoothly. More often than not, it is not the cowboy who messes up. It is the teammate who was supposed to cooperate. Many players pick Dancer not because she is amazing at kiting, but because they secretly want to decode. Her music box often feels more useful for speeding up decoding than for amazing kites. Most dancers I meet are average kiters. The music box becomes more of an easy obstacle for the hunter, rather than a true threat. That said, when you need someone to decode quickly, Dancer fills that role. A kiter who is built to decode. That's a confusing concept, actually. But hey, if it works, it works! Another top banned character in rank, and for good reason. A pro seer can send out owl protection so frequently that hunters start questioning their life decisions. They farm owls while their teammate is being chased, then swoop in with support at the perfect moment. Of course, there are also seers, who mean well but accidentally send their owl to the one teammate peacefully decoding in a corner, then get downed immediately after. I appreciate the initiative though. Embalmer's ability feels like gambling. The desire to help is unquestionable. The coffin placement though is sometimes a mystery. Some embalmers place the coffin far away in a safe strategic location. Others decide that right next to a rocket chair, or worse, near where the teammate is actively kiting, is the perfect spot. High risk, questionable reward, just like gambling. As much as you need Prospector in a match, there are times you wish he was not there. In good hands, he is an above-average kiter, and frequently seen in tournaments for a reason. However, Some prospector players get a little too confident. They spam magnets, miss the timing, and instead of pushing the hunter away, they pull them closer. One of the most reliable harassers in the game, Enchantress is a genuine headache for hunters. When played well, she makes every chase twice as difficult. Still, she is not top banned because of two reasons. First, it's mainly because hunters can bring excitement to counter her stuns. Second, some enchantresses accidentally cancel the hunter's hit animation or stunning duration, and when that happens, the confidence disappears quickly. A match with Wildling should not go wrong, especially during kites. He can assist and stall effectively, and a good Wildling is incredibly annoying to deal with. But, similar to Forward, some struggle with aiming. Instead of charging into the hunter, they dash straight into a wall. It does not happen often, but it is such an agony when it does. You also rarely see Wildling in lower tiers, which makes him feel like a rare sighting. Acrobat loves jumping around, even when there is no reason to. Experienced Acrobat mains know every trick angle and shortcut to confuse a hunter. Seasoned hunters, however, come prepared with Blink and shut down the show instantly. Also, a surprising number of Acrobat mains are dedicated shippers, most often with Wildling or Prospector. It is rare to see First Officer these days, but hunters often avoid chasing him first. Maybe it is the hypnosis skill. Maybe it is the uncertainty. No one really knows. He is generally solid at kiting, but rescuing is where things get complicated. Sometimes the hypnosis helps. Other times, it's a recipe for a disaster. Technically, Barmaid can be a kiting monster. With Dovlin, she creates distance and heals quickly, making her surprisingly hard to catch, especially in a tight map. Still, some barmaids confidently run to a pallet for a stun and end up getting mind-gamed by a geisha instead. Postmen are generally weak kiters. Not all of them, of course. But I have yet to meet a postman who truly carries a match. During a match with them, you will likely receive various buffs, most of the time useless, by the way. Like, more often than not, I receive a buff letter at the most confusing time, like a kiting buff while I am peacefully decoding. To be fair, however, his dog takes time to deliver letters. Timing is hard for them, and yet they often ends up being lectured in post-match. From my experience, Gravekeeper is often found first by the hunter. Still, he can kite reliably, sometimes up to 3 ciphers if played well. Personally, I see him more as a kiter than a rescuer. That said, some Gravekeepers are excellent at rescuing and body blocking. He may not provide flashy assistance, but he is a solid alternative to Mercenary, just with less drama. Prisoner mains love using that one emote that makes them look like Teletubbies. Hunters often take the bait and chase them immediately. The problem is that not all of them can back up the confidence. They taunt, get chased, and go down quickly. Some players pick him purely for his skins rather than skill. Thankfully, this type is rare in serious rank matches. Some entomologist mains choose her because she is gorgeous. Nothing else. That is already valid. Her bees allow her to avoid the hunter, and occasionally harass them, which makes some players feel unstoppable. When the harassment works, they feel like professionals. I have also noticed that many entomologist mains end up maining Queen Bee as their hunter. Dual identity consistency, perhaps? Painter players love placing a painting right before a palette for a clean stun. When it works, it looks impressive. Sometimes, however, they drop the palette, stun the hunter, then vault the same palette and get terror shocked. The plan was brilliant until the final step. Many painter mains also seem to be shippers, and I suspect more than a few started playing him because of his skins. Batter mains try to harass the hunter with their balls, but they miss more often than they would like to admit. That is why when a hit lands, it feels like a championship moment. They sometimes arrive late for rescues because they feel the need to land one perfect hit before doing anything. At times, I think Enchantress might be the more reliable rescuer, but at least batter mains are clearly having fun. Meeting a toy merchant in a match usually brings a small sense of relief. especially when she knows exactly where to place her catapult. A good toy merchant can turn half the map into her personal playground. Her biggest asset is the glider. I have genuinely seen hunters beg for a nerf because of it. She loops calmly, builds distance, and then makes a dramatic escape, sometimes gliding halfway across the map like she has a flight ticket to the exit gate. She is rarely cannon fodder. But once in a while, you meet that one toy merchant who miscalculates the angle and flies straight into a platform instead of soaring away. Most psychologist users pick her either to practice or because they enjoy surviving 3 hits instead of 2. It feels safer. Some psychologist mains, myself included, play her in rank to create the illusion of a 1-minute kite instead of a very honest 15 seconds. It helps avoid lectures in post-match chat. And then there are those who ship Ada and Emil so passionately that they are not shy about showing it mid-rank. Bold behavior, to say the least. People play Emil either because they like how he looks, or because they are dedicated Emil supporters. It is actually rare to meet a patient main who plays him purely as a competitive specialist. More often, you run into an Emil who is testing the character, or one who locks him in because someone else picked Ada. Experienced Emil players know exactly how to use the grappling hook to their advantage, and can be extremely slippery. But sometimes, just like certain Ada mains, they attempt the classic Ada and Emil coordination play and fail miserably. Novelist mains love attempting the palette swap trick. They run toward a palette, switch places with the hunter, and aim for that perfect stun. Unfortunately, the plan occasionally backfires when they drop the palette and accidentally vault it instead. The hunter appreciates the free hit. Aside from that, novelist mains are usually lore readers. They care about the story as much as the gameplay. The downside is that they often get chased first. Depending on their skill and luck, they either become an impressive kiter or very quick cannon fodder. A true menace to society, Little Girl is widely known by IDV players as a threat to their sanity. Each of her skills will, at the very least, make someone dwell in agony. Her memory pages can push a teammate toward the hunter, or the opposite. Her leeching ability only makes other players become prime targets. Also, her teleporting skills is perfect for blocking people while they're kiting desperately. Some fans even go as far as saying she's a threat to humanity. Others claim she was designed purely to troll. All in all, she's tricky to use, and when played poorly, she can invite post-match essays that feel one step away from a court trial. The third forward variant, Weeping Clown's main ability is his Rocket Dash. There are 2 ways to use it, one to escape, and another to shoot the hunter with it. Sadly, most Weeping Clowns I've met fail at both. They often rocket straight into incoming trams, into walls, or anywhere else except safety. And when they try to shoot the hunter, their aim is so bad that the hunter sometimes just watches the rocket pass by in mild amusement. I remember someone once mentioning that Professor is like a second perfumer, but with unlimited ability and a way to support others. Sounds cool, and honestly, it is. His hardening ability is quite handy when used at the right timing, which isn't too difficult if you've mastered Vera's art of perfuming. I rarely see this character in rank, but when I do, they're usually very confident. Their main weakness, however, is hunters who can deal multiple instances of damage at once. When Survivor life gives you so much frustration that you ask for someone who can beat the heck out of the hunter, Antiquarian is the answer. She's built to harass using her bamboo flute, and her acrobatic moves make her look cool and absolutely fearless. Sadly, the mentality of some Antiquarian players, at least the ones I've met, is a meh. They treat the match like a duel, never realizing that the hunters cannot be defeated. Plus, many hunters bring excitement specifically to counter them. Composer mains are often despised in rank, and to be honest, I can't fully understand why. Most composers I've met can kite decently, and their decoding is solid as well. Perhaps the reason they're disliked is because they tend to get chased first? I'm not entirely sure, but that could be part of it. Oh, and some of their players are also very dedicated shippers. Being a protagonist with a wholesome story has made journalists loved by many, which naturally leads to many people maining her. Some are so skilled that they can use Mini Orpheus for body-blocking plays similar to Perfumer's classic saves. However, many journalists I've met also enjoy dancing at the exit gate, confidently taunting the hunter. Unfortunately, hunters like Ithaqua or Bane sometimes appreciate the gesture a little too much and use their abilities to pull her right back from the gate. The dance ends quickly after that. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about this guy, because he rarely appears in my matches. Rank, duo hunters, quick match, well, it's like he exists somewhere else entirely. Perhaps he flew to another galaxy and forgot to return. Who knows? That said, anyone who genuinely mains him must be quite skilled. He's tricky to use, and choosing a rarely played character usually means you know exactly what you're doing. Another young lady loved by many. Cheerleader mains I've met are quick to support their teammates. It doesn't matter how far away they are. Once you report that you're being chased, they will usually rush in to assist. Their bravery is comparable to priestess mains, and I give them credit for that. However, once the teammate in need is downed, rescuing can become difficult. Many end up getting terror-shocked in the process and, unfortunately, lectured in the post-match. Possibly one of the saltiest survivor mains, and for good reason actually. Puppeteer cannot be healed, whether it's because part of his body is wooden, or simply because that's how he's designed. Either way, healing is not an option. The problem arises in lower tiers. Whenever he gets hit, a random doctor often runs over to heal him, spending 2 full minutes trying to figure it out, even when he repeatedly pings to focus on decoding. If the match ends in a loss, the Puppeteer main will likely explode in post-match chat, and this time, it's understandable. His balloon ability is like a double-edged sword. Pro players use it to block the hunter's path and give teammates a speed boost to escape. But there was one occasion when I was running from the hunter, and this guy blocked my path entirely with his balloon. I ended up being chaired, and he ended up getting terror-shocked while trying to rescue me. A tragic chain of events. Mind games are her specialty, and they can be quite effective. In high tiers, a skilled Pharaoh lady is genuinely scary to chase. Even hunters with Blink or Patroller can struggle against her. Her favorite maps are those with second floors, much like Perfumer mains. Playing her feels like a constant battle of wits. If you outsmart the hunter, you'll likely win the match. However, hunters who have faced her too often may end up being the ones doing the outsmarting instead. Some night mains pick him because they simp for him. Honestly, I cannot blame them. He is handsome enough that there are fan arts of him being topless. In terms of gameplay, I have met various night users. Generally, they are quite decent and reliable during rescues. In the community, night mains are either admired, treated indifferently, or completely despised, depending on whether people like him or not. Some are salty because he has one too many skins. If you pick Meteorologist as your main, then your life is full of challenges. Choosing her in a match feels like selecting hard mode in every game. She is tricky to use. Her skills are amazing in theory, but the mechanism can be frustrating. You draw lines, you draw circles, and it only works if the game agrees with what you were trying to draw. Sometimes you attempt a circle, and the game treats it as a line instead, summoning a completely different skill than intended. Similar to batter mains, archer mains enjoy hunting the hunter instead of being hunted. And also similar to batter mains, many of them miss their shots. When you meet both the batter and the archer in one match, expect them to rush to your rescue with confidence, but with various results. Still, I actually like archer mains. They never hesitate to come to your aid, whether it is because they genuinely want to save you, or simply because they enjoy harassing the hunter. Many archer mains also show up in Discord servers asking about her lore, which means they are surprisingly dedicated to their main. Someone I met in English chat once referred to him as an alternative to Embalmer, since one of his skills allows him to move someone from one rocket chair to another. This Vin Diesel works best on large maps with wide openings, because hunters need more time to chase the survivor he relocates. His smoke ability can also distract hunters, but only if the hunter is a newbie. Seasoned hunters can still track survivors through the smoke, turning the hiding attempt into another battle of wits. Honestly, I have not met too many lanternists, but the ones I have encountered are generally solid kiters. With her skill, she can negate several hunter abilities using her frame projection, which can be incredibly frustrating for the hunter. One thing I have noticed about her mains is that they really like areas filled with pallets. Perhaps it has something to do with her skill synergy. Of course, that strategy becomes less comfortable when the hunter brings Blink and decides to outwit the lanternist instead. Another little girl in the making, some would say. His skill is meant to help others reach safety, but instead of helping, some players end up canceling the very abilities their teammates are trying to use. His skill is quite tricky, so much so that people have started comparing him to Little Girl. Same menace energy. His skill can also be used offensively against the hunter. But once again, terrible aim plus questionable timing often leads to terrible results. Many Matador mains exit post-match chat suspiciously fast after a failed play. Well, that is quite the list. But again, these stereotypes are based purely on my personal experience meeting these survivors. Do not take any of this as absolute truth. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is made just for fun, and maybe for those who can relate to at least one of these situations. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.